Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers get burnt by the Suns. See what we did there? That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. This one's always going to be free, never locked behind a paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 22,000 subscribers were wondering what the heck happened on Thursday night as the Lakers were absolutely throttled by the Phoenix Suns, 127-109, Andy, in a game that wasn't as close as the score might indicate. The 16-point final margin was not indicative of the dominance of the Suns in this game. Want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50 infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. Use the code LOCKED ON to get $20 off your order. That's JASE medical.com. The Lakers could have used some medicine on Thursday. They were absolutely positively smoked, Andy, in this game. There was no point in the 48 minutes where I really thought the Lakers were going to win this.
Well, to put this in perspective, your lack of confidence, 7-6, the Lakers were up with 9:54 left in the first quarter. That was the last time the Lakers led in this game. It was also the only time the Lakers led in this game. Things got out of hand really, really fast. All three of the Suns' big three had hit at least 1 3 within the first 4 minutes of this game, and Beal and Booker had hit 2. Devin Booker had 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting in the first quarter. The Lakers turned the ball over 5 times in the first quarter. It was absolutely ugly, basically from Jump Street in this game. And basically what it really came down to was just degrees of ugliness, just how ugly things were on a possession by possession, quarter by quarter basis. But it was pretty butt ugly the whole time.
They were bad. And, it was another one of these nights where, circumstances start to conspire to make things harder for you. Cam Reddish played 8 minutes in this game. Say what you want about Reddish's offense against a threesome like Booker, Beal, and Durant. Handy fellow to have around. But he left with knee soreness after 8 minutes, didn't return. Christian Wood was unavailable, putting us back in the Jackson Hayes business. Christian
Wood had a migraine, just to clarify, while he was out.
Thank you.
Hopefully this is something that will not last, because he was clearly missed, and Jackson Hayes did not.
No.
Let's just say this.
He fouled out of the game, and he had a 1-to-1 foul to points ratio.
Jackson Hayes picked up 4 fouls in his first half 4 minutes. Like, he came in, immediately picked up an illegal screen. He ended up with 6 fouls. It was
very, very illegal.
He
looked like a pulling guard.
It was incredibly illegal. He ended up fouling out in 13 minutes. On one hand, it feels very Jackson Hayes. On the other hand, he might have been just thinking, like, look, I'm not going to play for another month. I am damn right going to use my 6 precious fouls.
Well, the way he played on Thursday, he is correct. He is not.
No, there's no Wally Pipp happening here. Christian Wood, assuming the migraine doesn't keep him up, Christian Wood can sleep comfortably tonight.
It is, it's just one of these games, and Anthony Davis was due to look human. At some point, even every star does, and Thursday was that night. 13 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist. He had a couple blocks, but overall, this was not any kind of Anthony Davis signature game. and you look around, you say, okay, well, this is one of those nights where you need the guy, somebody's going to pick him up. Well, LeBron had 10 points, 5 rebounds, did have 9 assists, but was not, missed all of his 3-point attempts, was not good. Certainly not by the standards of LeBron James. Austin Reaves continues to struggle, and was really picked on defensively in particular.
There was Reggie Miller must have said anywhere from 7 to 10 times during this broadcast, the TNT broadcast, they're picking on Austin Reaves. They're picking on Austin. Like, I actually tweeted out at Cam Brothers, that GIF from The Simpsons where the kids are gathered in that crowd, horrified. It's like, stop. He's already dead. I was like, Reggie, we get it. They're picking on Austin Reaves. You're right. But, like, come on, dude. Reaves he got hit with a few shooting fouls. They were going right at him. There, in the third quarter, there was a sequence where Phoenix was going way out of their way, like to the point where they could have called out what they were doing, setting up Taurean Prince, Austin Reaves pick and rolls. And to put it generously, the defensive coverage there went sideways every single time.
They do a great job, or at least did in this game, of putting people on an island. There were a couple plays where Reaves ended up guarding Kevin Durant, and there is literally nothing other than fouling him and just starting another possession that Austin Reaves can do to guard Kevin Durant, because he is, to use the expression that is so popular these days, Andy, around the league, too short. He is literally too small, whatever it is, too small to guard Kevin Durant. So that's not going to work. And then, there's a reason Devin Booker is a guy who scored 30 points a game in the league, and Bradley Beal has scored 30 points a game in the league. If you isolate these guys, even when you move your feet, I thought Max Christie, for example, had 3 or 4 possessions where on Booker, on Beal, he moved his feet very well, stayed in front, but then you get kind of victimized by when do I go up? A couple times where Christie ended up drawing, they drew contact on him for an and one. And so the next time Christie's a little hesitant to go up and contest a shot, and then they go up. And, these are really good offensive players. The Lakers didn't have an answer for it. But the part that really, that part, I was like, okay, I could see that coming. The stuff, though, that continues to annoy me, at least, is, at one point, I forget I don't know what the final of it was, because Phoenix was up 25-10 in points off turnovers. You can't give this team 15 points and just be like, here, go. And it's like you said, previewing this game, Thursday morning, it's not like Phoenix is a team that plays high pressure defense that turns you over. The Lakers just made their lives simple, and that can't happen.
They turned the ball over, like I said, 5 times in the first quarter. They turned it over 9 times in the first half. Darvin Ham, after the game, talked about how they gave up 17 points off those turnovers. So you have empty possessions and the Lakers doing a bad job defensively once they turn the ball over. There was one point in the third quarter where Austin Reaves, it was a broken possession, and he ended up having to put this really highly contested shot up over Durant. Like, he had to work his ass off to get there. Shot ends up going down. Score is now at this point 92-66. And Kevin Harlan pointed out that this was the first basket the Lakers had scored in 4.5 minutes. I mean, it just absolutely broke down in ugly ways offensively. I mean, really, I thought on both sides of the ball, the team was pretty bad. We'll get into some of the individual performances. I thought his stat line is misleading in the sense that he played some garbage time, but I thought D'Angelo Russell actually had a nice game. And I thought while he was not a factor in trying to juice the offense, but it's not what you expect from him anyway. I thought Jared Vanderbilt played pretty well in this game. At the very
least, he's starting to move and look more like Vanderbilt is supposed to. But
other than D'Lo and Vando, I thought everybody else was somewhere between adequate-ish and pretty bad.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we'll break it down. I've got some frustrations here and some things that just they flat out have to get better. So we'll talk about it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Jace Medical, and we all use sports to escape from the crazy realities of life, but sometimes real life, unfortunately, never goes away for good. And according to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. And we've seen over the last few years what happens when the supply chain gets bogged down for whatever reason with whatever product. It's really stressful, but thankfully, Jace Medical can help alleviate that stress. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. These are medicines that could be really handy to have if your doctor wants to prescribe them, but access for whatever reason is not readily available. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It has never been more important than today to be prepared. Go to jacemedical.com and use the offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order.
Locked on Lakers also brought to you by Logix. You know, on this show, you get a lot of in-depth analysis. You get some hot takes, right? Let me give you my hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA and the surrounding areas right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. Rounding out the lineup, they've got their auto refinancing and lease buyout loans. And with these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. Visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding areas and let one of their amazing team members help you. Or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/car. So, the good and bad performances. You know, we were talking before that we started taping. Like, I thought Christie was okay. You thought he was a little less than that. But like, here's the thing: Max Christie is not going to save you one way or the other. If you know Davis is having an off night, if LeBron can't compensate for that, if Reaves can't pick up, like you can't look for Max Christie to be the guy. So like, this is just one of these games where it is starting to become really clear that unless the Lakers can get players on the floor, Hachimura, who was listed as doubtful and didn't play in this game.
Although Darvin Ham did say, though, in pregame that Rui had a really good workout Thursday, so there is some optimism that he will be available Saturday.
Well, at least they're putting him on the injury report, where they weren't even doing that before. He was just out. So, hopefully he plays this weekend, or if not this weekend, on Saturday in Utah, which is looking like both a really important and really challenging game. Then maybe he plays Monday, but like they're missing too many guys. The supporting cast needs to be more whole to compete, because the Lakers are 19-20 and have had a healthy LeBron and AD. I mean, if you're looking for a sign of like, this could be problematic going down the road, like those guys have been healthy. Save a game or two here or there, and they are still a game under 500. I know I'm not the first person to point this out, but it is a red flag, if nothing else.
It is a red flag, although I also think to some degree it's misleading to frame it that way, because at this stage of LeBron's career, he needs more support than he has in the past. So his availability, while obviously is important, and there are still times where LeBron can play at an incredibly high level, he cannot play at an incredibly high level over the course of 35 to 40 minutes, the entire 35 to 40 minutes. He can't do it. He can't do it for
25, 30, 40 game
Right.
chunks. Like,
I mean,
he was playing MVP-ish, adjacent level ball for the first 25 games and 20 games, whatever it was, when the Lakers needed that contributions. And you can tell now how much the first chunk of games of the season took out of him, because the legs come and go, they're not quite there, and the inconsistency is un-LeBron like.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to prove a negative or see how things would have looked on Earth too, but I'm not as convinced that this is entirely the byproduct of having to go hard in the first 20-ish games. But here's the thing, even if it is, these are also things that you often need from your star players to do anyway. So one way or another, this is something I've talked about a lot over the last couple of years. A lot of the focus on Anthony Davis's inconsistencies as a scorer. The guy has been averaging in the mid-20s the last few regular seasons. The issue is LeBron needs more than that. And then you start getting into the questions of Austin Reaves. Is he actually?
That's, I think, what it is. Right.
Right. But I mean, both in this game and over the last several games, but also the idea of, is Austin Reaves actually good enough to be the third player on a championship caliber team, or sometimes, frankly, the second best player? There are times when you need, where LeBron is right now, you need your second best player or your third best player to be capable of playing second best player on a contending team.
You know what? Yeah.
And Reaves is not at that level. He's not. That's not shade at him, but he's not.
And like, we even without sort of getting into the weeds of like, sort of the LeBron part of it, when you look around the league, third guys, there's always that, every some, eighth game, whatever it is, I'm making up numbers here, but like, Tobias Harris goes off for, 29 and whatever, and, in this case, Bradley Beal is the third best player at 31. Like, there's a bit of an asterisk with that, but,
Aaron Gordon with the Nuggets, Drew Holiday or Porzingis with Boston,
or Derek White has 38 points or 32 points or 28 6 points. Like, those are the games that you're not getting from Reaves, and it's again, it's not necessarily shade, but it's a structural thing where on the nights where you need Reaves to be a level up, that's not where he's been. And quite frankly, from a consistency standpoint,
it's been more of a level down lately.
He's been a level down overall over the course of the season. He's been, got off to a really bad start. Darvin moved him to the bench. That helped straighten him out, or, causation, correlation, whatever it is. He got better, but hasn't been great, since then. And, look, usage rate is up. The activity is up. The responsibility is up. It's a lot of stuff to do. And as we've seen, and you've made this point a lot, teams scout him better. They're attacking him more, like we saw on Thursday, to make him work harder defensively. They're more, I think, careful.
Well, they're also
not putting him on the line.
They're also too, and I mean, I want to make it clear. This is not me saying that I don't think Reaves is lacking the defensive effectiveness through indifference.
No, he tries hard.
But and this is something I give credit. They've talked about this a lot on Lakers Film Room, Pete, Darius, and Mike. As Reaves's responsibilities have increased, before he used to be able to devote more attention defensively, and frankly needed to in order to carve out a career. But he's now being asked to do more, but he has to find that balance of truly being a two-way player, or the Lakers need to find more ways to alleviate certain responsibilities, so maybe he can go back to devoting a little bit more to defense.
Or
balance
he needs to be better off. He needs to be much better offensively, to compensate. But right now, you're not getting enough of either one.
Right. The balance as a two-way player, which he was much more of last year, is not there this year.
No.
And he's not I think you put it perfectly. He is not effective enough offensively to offset what you aren't getting from him defensively for the minutes that he's expected to play and frankly needs to play because he's still in the upper end of this team.
And it's easier to pick on him with the lineups that they're putting out and the personnel that they have available than it was last year. With that sort of that starting lineup that they went, you can hide him a little bit better, and you have the sort of the structural integrity of Schroeder next to you and some of these other things, and a higher functioning offense. Like, this is the thing that I was actually going to talk about. Like, we joked at the beginning of the season when Darvin says, I'd like to play LeBron like 30 minutes a night or 28 minutes a night or whatever this number was, we all laughed at because it wasn't going to happen. But the reality is he was right. Like that, in a perfect world, that would be better. So, the hope was that you would have with Russell and Reaves and Taurean Prince and Rui and, Gabe Vincent and whatever. And a lot of these are names that, we haven't seen much of because they've been out of the lineup so much, that they would have an offense that could help take some burden away. So LeBron could have more 32-minute games, 31-minute games. It hasn't happened, Andy. And the offense is actually, I think, maybe worse than people realize. So we'll talk about it next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by PrizePicks, the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in up to 25 times your money. And you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, created specifically for projections that include 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James and Travis Kelce at a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made plus receptions. And with PrizePicks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured in NFL games, NBA games. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half, doesn't return in the second, like say what happened with Cam Reddish tonight, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. So go to prizepicks.com, Locked On NBA, and use that code Locked On NBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/Locked On NBA. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
So, I mean, I actually think you know the answer to these things because you follow the team and you cover this stuff pretty closely and you pay attention and so on. But going into this game, where were the Lakers in defensive rating, defense efficiency? I'm using Basketball Reference, but like everybody computes it slightly differently, but ballpark it.
I'll say 19th.
10th.
Really?
10th.
Okay.
The defense.
I bet they I was going to say.
It dropped, I'm sure it dropped on Thursday.
But 10th. I was going to say, I think it's dropped a lot over the last month. But anyway, go on.
It could be. I mean, I could look at it what it was, but like, it went up against the Clippers. Like that was a good defensive game.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Where are they offensively?
38th.
Behind South Bay, behind the Mad Ants and some other teams. They are 20, and it'll get worse after this one. They came into the game tonight 24th in offensive rating. They are a terrible offensive team, and you just can't be that bad. And expect to succeed. They turn the ball over still way too much. And if you can't shoot, and they still seem to be, if not struggling in raw percentages, struggling in that, good God, that ball needs to go in factor. Like they miss every one of those shots. And the raw percentages aren't great. They're 22nd in the league right now in 3-point percentage. It's just, for the defense, it needs to get better. It needs to be more consistent or whatever, but their offense costs them 10 points a night, at least, because it can't function. And, whether it's straight raw turnovers or bad possessions that leave you imbalanced on the other side of the ball. They're completely dysfunctional at this point on a game to game basis, judged by the standards of a team you would expect or was hoping to contend for a title.
Well, one of the big factors when you talk about just the offense being dysfunctional, and this is something I've hit on a few occasions this season, they do not take enough shots. They are bottom 5 in the league in just field goals attempted. And that is a byproduct of, as you pointed out, turning the ball over too often. It is a byproduct of them seemingly part of their scheme is crapping away 16 seconds before they decide to actually get into a set. Like they are not, they're an unserious offensive team. Like they just are. They too often don't look like, I will be the first to admit I'm not Eric Spoelstra. I can't draw up the greatest plays in the world, but I've seen enough basketball to know what a play looks like. And
they're
too
not
often,
doing it right.
Yeah, too often they don't look like they're running Jack Bleep out there. They just don't.
Yeah, I watched, I pay attention to like the Tim underscore NBA, Cranja Swing Basketball, the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast, does a great job tracking, how what percentage of trips are called plays, which ones aren't, and that number had been trending up. But like to some degree, it all of these things conspire. Like even when they do it well, like it's sort of non-functional because when Reddish starts, you're playing with kind of 4-on-5, Reddish or Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's about 4.5-on-5 because he's starting to move better without the ball, make himself useful in other ways. But he's an offensive negative that you can ignore. Teams I think are still perfectly okay to let LeBron take outside shots rather than punish them at the rim. Austin Reaves, while he was
man. Sometimes I got to be honest. Sometimes, given that LeBron's shooting close to 40% and some of those layups that he's missing, I think you can make an argument either way.
It's night to night. There are certain nights where he's got to go on. Tonight, Thursday he was 0 for 4, but like I still think that if nothing else, there's that, if you choose kind of factor to it and where the shots are coming from or when. But Reaves came into the game shooting, small sample size, 16% in January from 3-point range. Like we just talked in the last segment about how he's not enough. And Taurean Prince, it's like he was 3 of 8 on Thursday night. Like that's not bad, except you end up with a lot of these situations where the volume of shots that's available to Taurean Prince is really high. And to some degree, he needs to take them. Like, I got to take these open 3-pointers.
He had some quick points. He had, I think, 5 or 8 quick points in this game.
He wasn't doing it, but it's like, it's sort of problematic when, Prince ends up with 14 3-pointers. Like that's just too much Taurean Prince. And they don't even have to be bad shots, but they're the types of shots that indicate that the other team is doing a really good job of dictating the types of shots that you get, because I don't think you want to tilt your offense that heavily, to Prince or, like it, even when things sometimes result in a clean look, they don't always result in something, at least to me, that looks like the Lakers are getting the shots and like dictating the flow of what the offense is supposed to look like.
Well,
they're really bad.
Well, this is apropos for a night where, mentioned before, I don't think Anthony Davis played particularly well in this game.
Nope.
Even superstars are entitled to a night off. Anthony Davis has been playing his ass off. He is maybe the guy you can point the finger at least on this team when it comes to figuring out what is going wrong. But that being said, because this was a night where I thought they did not look to get him the ball enough. Do you know where AD ranks in the NBA for field goal attempts per game?
Oh God, it's
33rd
I was going to put it somewhere in the 20s.
He's 33rd in field goal attempts on a team that struggles to score. What the F, man?
And by the way, it's not like he's 33rd because he's, playing, short minutes and all that. Like the guy's leading the league in minutes or whatever it is.
And whatever you want to say before about Anthony Davis's lack of aggression, we've talked about it many times this season, past seasons, whatever. I think sometimes it can be an overblown topic. Anthony Davis has not been unaggressive this season. He has been looking for his shot. D'Angelo Russell, say it again, is the only guy on this team who consistently looks for AD, if not first option, like 1.5 option, like looking for him consistently, involving him consistently. There is no reason that he should be 33rd in field goal attempts on a team that is starving for offense. Like that, that in and of itself is jacked up.
Yeah, I apologize, Andy. He's only 8th in total minutes to have 33rd most shot attempts.
You know what I mean?
Like, right. That's a great number. That's a really great number.
That is just in and of itself indicative of all the things that are not being utilized well or effectively with this team. Because again, this is not a year where you can complain that AD doesn't want the ball, isn't looking for a shot, any of that bleep. That is not the case this year.
I don't know what the solution here is. I mean, to some degree, nobody likes to hear this, but to some degree, it is the Darvin explanation. I was like, we need Christian Wood in the lineup. We need Rui Hachimura back. We need the flexibility of Gabe Vincent. Probably needs to. I mean, he played D'Lo. I think D'Lo had this game been closer, would have been on the floor a lot. I think we might be getting to a place where D'Lo is going to start playing a little bit more. To some degree, it's like you look at, okay, well, yes, you have your top two guys. Your number 3 is not performing in the way he should, and then but you're missing too many factors that can boost it up and get you 6 to 8 extra points per player, whatever it might be. You can't rely on Max Christie to pick up your offense when 2 or 3 other guys are missing. Okay, and this is where the Darvis is like, well, this is where you probably lost some time playing Jackson Hayes as long as you did, and they're not going to get anywhere close to contention. And quite frankly, contention at this point is a little too ambitious of a place to be looking at. If they don't beat Utah on Saturday, I think they're actually out of the play-in, however temporarily. They're not going to get anywhere close to where they want to go until they can become at least an ordinary offensive team.
You are correct, but really quick, just because until that day comes with the offense, it puts even more onus on the defense. And Darvin was asked after this game if they're getting the requisite defensive effort from guys across the board on a game-by-game basis. And I thought it was very interesting. Darvin talked about certain guys on a minutes restriction, guys dealing with injuries, just one of those nights. Couldn't push through. Cam was dealing with stuff. What he never said was yes. He didn't even say yes, but you got to remember blah, blah, blah. He didn't say yes. I think it's telling where Darvin, who if you can fault him at times for being too positive when it feels like, dude, why are you trying to polish this? Like you actually ought to be lighting into guys a little bit more. That Darvin didn't even attempt to lie a little bit. I thought was telling.
It's a space they're in. Look, I mean, they can go out and overall if you were graphing, are they playing better than they were? Yes, they are playing better than they were. The stretch of games that they're in right now, like yes, they're at home a lot, but the teams are playing really good.
This was the first game in a while where they truly crapped the bed.
Right, and that's going to happen sometimes, and we'll see what happens on Saturday. But like, it just doesn't get easier. That's the thing. It's like they're going to have to. They've beaten good teams this year. They have a lot of like, they don't have that many wins, and you start going down the ladder. Like they've beaten a lot of really good teams around the league. They can do it, but they aren't at a place right now where you can rely on them to be good. 7 games out of 10. And I think it's because they cannot score. You go back to the Clipper game, like they grinded that thing out, mostly. They got a couple big buckets when they needed it. They scored 106 points. Like that, it's a hard way to live in the NBA trying to win games now where you're only scoring 106 points. This is not the league that we're in anymore.
Nope.
So that's got to get better. Anyway, Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go hang out, vent with over 22,000 subscribers to the channel. We'll be back Saturday night to tell you all about the Utah game. A little nervous about that one, Andy. See everyone over the weekend.